Hey folks, in today's video, I'm going to be going over self-myofascial release and why it is critically important to start your own practice to help alleviate back and knee pain like I did so that you can start crushing your goals and moving forward in life with a lot less pain. Plus, stay tuned to the end and I'll tell you my 3 favorite exercises that I use to help get myself out of the pain cave. My name is Dave Morrow. I'm the heaviest deadlifting, most veteran friendly, best looking SMR practicing, getting out of the pain cave dude on the internet. And all jokes aside, I want to make sure that you get a grip of your chronic pain because it is likely holding you back from a lot of enjoyment in your life. So let's start really simply. The point of all this is to get you aware of what self-myofascial release is, because I think it's the shit. Without it, I don't think I'd be doing what I'm doing literally right now, which is talking to you, because I wouldn't have created a podcast. I wouldn't have written a book about it. And I definitely wouldn't have started a business all focused around getting out of the pain cave, getting stronger, getting healthier, and getting harder to kill. So today I'm going to go over step number 3 in my 5-step beast body blueprint called Realign. So Realign all comes down to making sure that your body can move and groove without having any kind of pain or any kind of discomfort, or at least diminishing that pain and discomfort. And this is accomplished through self-myofascial release. Okay, so what is self-myofascial release? I think we need to define the terms. SMR is essentially the term we use for massage, but you're doing it at home. So it sounds really complicated, but essentially it's grabbing a lacrosse ball, grabbing a foam roller, slapping it on a piece of fascia or tissue, and we'll get into that, that is jammed up, that is not pliable, that is not moving well. And this can cause some serious issues down the road, namely, in my case, herniations in my back, a knee that just basically couldn't go upstairs. And if you're suffering from these things, stay tuned because we're going to get into how you can start alleviating these things by using my protocol. Okay, so by defining terms, we need to now define, well, what is fascia? Well, fascia is essentially the connective tissue that holds together muscles, the muscle fibers, our organs. And since it's connective tissue that does all this, it's everywhere. If you think of a bush outside in the summer that gets covered in budworm or spider web, let's say, the spider web is like the fascia. So to give you just kind of a visual framework, an analogy of what that looks like. So it bundles everything together in a nice tight package. So that's fascia. Why is it important to work on this fascia? Well, it deals with mobility. And mobility is the name of the game when it comes to being able to enjoy life and bend over and pick up stuff without pain, play with your kids, because mobility deals with the actual movement of your joints. So let's pick up a copy of the Nimble Warrior here for a quick definition of mobility. So bear with me here. So mobility can be defined as the ability of a joint to move freely and easily before being restricted by surrounding tissues that include ligaments, tendons, muscles, fascia. Cool. Okay, next definition. What is flexibility? Because you're probably thinking, well, isn't that the same as flexibility? Like, why do I need to slap a foam roller on myself when I could just touch my toes and start working on that good old flexibility that we learned in the military? Wait. The definition is going to be different. So stay tuned right here. Flexibility can be defined as the ability for a muscle to lengthen. Oh, well, that's not the same definition as mobility at all, is it? Mobility is dealing with the ability for a joint to move in a certain range of motion. Flexibility is lengthening muscle. Oh, so those are 2 different things, both important. Don't get me wrong. But in the context of self-myofascial release, this is going to help with the mobility of a joint because we're not trying to lengthen the actual muscle fiber. What we're trying to do is loosen up the fascia that is holding you back from getting full range of motion. Oh, big difference here. So therefore, now our next question is, well, how do we put that all together, right? So common fascia problems. You likely have experienced this. Plantar fasciitis. It sucks. If you've ever had it, bottom of your foot, there's plantar fascia right at the arch. And if this gets inflamed, you're toast, especially if you're an infantry dude or an infantry gal. Man, it sucks. Like you're out of commission or you suffer through it. And it could very well just put you at the MIR or put you out of commission. You can even potentially miss a tour. Like it is bad because you can't walk properly and the pain can get excruciating, especially in the morning when you wake up and you put your foot down. I've experienced it. It's like a shot of pain that goes right up from your foot and takes a while to warm up. And if you're wondering, well, it does kind of get a little bit better throughout the day. It's like, yeah, because as you start moving, that fascia starts to get a little bit more blood flow to it. It starts to actually lubricate a little bit and it starts moving. So therefore, you're in a bit less pain. But as soon as you stop, it starts to harden back up. So there's another one that is really devastating as well for anybody that's in the infantry, anybody that walks long distances, and that's shin splints. Shin splints can be a total career ender because if you don't address them, this fascia that runs on the medial side of the shin, so your tibia, if that gets inflamed, oh man, I had them for 4 years because I was a ding dong. Leading up to actually going on basic training here, I figured, hey, I'm going to start running home from school. And so I had my backpack on, I had crappy shoes, I didn't even have my runners on, and I just started like booking it home. And after doing that a few times, having never really run any distance in my life, other than playing sports, football, basketball, etc., my shin started to hurt. I didn't know what it was. And so I kept on running. I figured, hey, this will just go away, right? And don't forget, this is late 90s. The internet is basically Craigslist and E-Bombs world. I'm not tracking anything else at this point. So I didn't do anything other than put some ice on it when it got really bad. And after 4 years, they went away. That's a long time to wait. And some horror stories. I have a buddy that he literally got compound fractures in his shin because of them. And another buddy, it got compartment syndrome, which sounds like the worst thing I've ever heard of. So stay away from them by applying some of the SMR techniques that we're going to go over here. So how do you do SMR? That's the next question. Well, SMR is so simple because all it requires is a foam roller or a lacrosse ball, tennis ball, or literally anything you find around the house, a can of soup, anything that can provide some resistance when you sit on it or press it against your fascia is fine. And the key here is that you need to find the spot that gives you the pain face. So this is what I got from Kelly Starrett, who's the granddaddy of self-myofascial release and who I learned from. And his pain face, it's really simple. If you put the lacrosse ball on a piece of tissue that is really jammed up and you don't make the pain face, which looks like this, then move on, go somewhere else. Everybody's different. So for me, my trouble areas were always my piriformis. So that's a strip of muscle that runs east-west along your glute. And in there, it can get really jammed up, especially like what I'm doing now. You sit a lot. And if you sit a lot, your piriformis can get rock solid and that whole area in your glute can get turned off. And so if you can put a foam roller on there and not scream like a howling dog, you're doing all right. For me, it was awful. So you have to hold it for about 30 seconds. So like Sergeant Barnes says in Platoon, take the pain. Yeah, you're going to have to take the pain and you're going to have to do it a lot. Give you some context. I had to do foam rolling and put myself in substantial amounts of pain for 6 months before my piriformis and my glute started to feel better. Now I can slap a foam roller on there. I can put a lacrosse ball on that part of my butt and I don't howl in pain anymore. I then had to work on the whole hip complex to start alleviating my back pain. And this is where you can end up with massive gains when it comes to reducing chronic pain if you just apply these simple techniques. So now that we've covered off how to do it, now let's get into the 3 best self-myofascial release and mobility exercises that you can do to start alleviating some of your chronic pain. Now I'm going to focus on back and knee pain because those are traditionally the worst ones if you have ever served a day in the military. But not only that, you don't have to be in the military to have back and knee pain. Most Americans and Canadians, upwards of 20%, suffer from some sort of chronic pain, and back pain is one of the most common ones. So go apply what I'm going to tell you right now because it could save you thousands and thousands of dollars, namely $4,516 a year based on the current statistics with respects to chronic pain. Yes, let me say that again. Those that are suffering chronic pain spend upwards of $4,516 extra per year on treating that pain. Now, this is American data. For Canadians, that might be a little bit different because we have free healthcare, but don't forget, lost man hours due to chronic pain count. Going and getting pain medication that's not covered by your insurance counts. So although we can look at our American friends and be like, oh, yeah, we got that covered. We don't have to worry about that. We got free healthcare. Hold on a sec. Not being able to go to work because you're in pain like I was counts. That's a day lost. That's a day of pay that no longer is going into your bank account. So think about that long term. So the 3 best exercises. First one is the Afghan squat. The Afghan squat is the most effective, simplest exercise that you can do literally every day with zero equipment. All you need to do is pop a squat. Like you're taking a shit, drop as low as you can, try to get comfortable, and try to hold that for 2 minutes. The goal here, the gold standard for the Afghan squat is Kelly Starrett's standard of 10 minutes. So the reason why I call it an Afghan squat is because if you've been to Afghanistan, they don't have chairs. They just squat. That's their chair. They're good. They do it their whole lives. They don't have what we have here. So their hips, super open. I'm pretty sure they don't have sciatic pain in Afghanistan. Sure, they have a lot of other issues, but they do not have sciatic pain. They can pop a squat, no problem. So they never need a chair, which is pretty wicked. Build up towards it. See where you can get just on day 1, and then every day just get a little bit better. Best exercise number 2. I mentioned it earlier, but take a foam roller and slap it onto your piriformis. All you need to do is cross your leg over. So take your right leg, for example, cross it over your left leg, slap the foam roller on your right butt cheek, and rock back and forth until you start howling in pain. Hold it for 30 seconds. This dramatically improved my back pain. Due to my herniations, my low back would always get jammed up, and it was partially due to the fact that I had jammed up piriformis. I had a jammed up tensor fasciae latae, which is here on my hip. I just was a mess, and I didn't know it. So start slapping that on your piriformis and see how that feels. And lastly, your tibialis anterior. So this is the outside of your shin that is really, really tender if you do a lot of walking, you do a lot of ruck marching. And if you don't police it, or even if you do a lot of running, if you don't police it, guess what? It starts to get super tight. And every time you have an issue, it's usually your neighbors that are causing the problem. So if your tibialis anterior is really tight, then the opposite side, which is the medial part of your tibia, that's where you start seeing shin splints. And you're not thinking, hey, maybe it's the outside of my shin bone that's actually causing the problem. It might be. And additionally, if this is tight, it's going to really hinder your ability to dorsiflex your foot. So that means bend your foot towards your nose. And when you walk, that's a dorsiflexion action. When you run, that's a dorsiflexion action. Poor ankle dorsiflexion leads to a ton of injuries for the military, but it's also bad just for a civvy. If you can't dorsiflex your ankle very well, you're going to start seeing things that are going to pop up. You might have a sore ankle. You might have sore knees. You might have bad hips. It all starts running up the chain. So work on that and see what the change might be with respects to a knee pain, but also shin splints if you've ever experienced them. So let's recap, guys. What is SMR? SMR is just self-myofascial release. It is a form of massage at home. So just like going to the massage therapist and having them work on your shoulder or having them work on your back, you're able to do this from home. and get the exact same benefits, but for free. So that's self-myofascial release. Mobility is the ability for a joint to express its full range of motion. The reason why we do SMR is to allow that joint to move more freely. Having a joint move more freely can definitely bring down the amount of pain that may be occurring in places like your hip, knee, and back. And lastly, the three main exercises that you can start doing in order to start alleviating things like back and knee pain. First one is the Afghan squat. Second is SMR of your piriformis. And lastly, it is SMR of the outside of your shin or your tibialis anterior. All right, guys. So I hope you really got a lot out of this episode. And I want to make sure that you knew where to go, or you know where to go to get all of this information in a really bite-sized book. And it is right here with my book, The Nimble Warrior. You can find it at thenimblewarriorbook.com. You can get it for just the cost of shipping and handling, and I'll fire it off to you, and I'll even sign it for you and donate $1 to Warrior Adventures Canada. Not only that, this is part of my 5-step Beast Body Blueprint program. This program is designed for men in their 40s, 50s, and 60s that have left the military and are looking to enter their next phase of their lives leaner, fitter, and harder to kill. So if this is something that interests you, the link is here in the video description, and I hope to see you as one of my new Beast members. All right, guys, as always, don't forget, train hard, fight easy. See you on the next one. Peace.